What's up guys, Kyle here again, and I am super excited to do this shootout. Today, we're gonna compare the Armored Sabot to the Mesa Badlander 50. Let's do it. Well, that was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed that random riff that I literally had no idea what I was doing the entire time. Today, we're gonna check out the Armored Sabot versus the Mesa Badlander 50. The Armored was sent to me by James and Armored Amplification and Dalton. This is actually Dalton's amp, and Dalton reached out to James and said, hey, we should get this amp in Kyle's hands and have him do some demos. I'm completely honored by the fact that people would even want me to do a demo of their amp. So that's awesome. Really appreciate you guys doing that for me. I've been having a lot of fun with the Sabot here. So the Sabot is a single channel 6550 powered amplifier. It's got all sorts of switches down here that control the EQ. It controls the gain structure and compression, controls the brightness and focus. You've also got a sweep pot and an attack pot that both kind of, the sweep pot controls where the mids are placed, it seems to my ears at least, and then the attack pot is pretty obvious. It controls the attack. If you dial it down, it's a little looser, a little less immediate. You dial it up, it gets tighter, gets a little bit better pick attack for you. So anyways, I've been experimenting with this amp for about a week. This is the last demo I'm gonna do with it before I send it back. I have a full playthrough. I also shot it out with the 5150 Stealth. And James actually specifically requested that I do it against the Mesa Badlander 50 for his own curiosity. And I said, you know what, man? I haven't played the Badlander really since I did my initial videos on it, just because I've been so busy with the channel. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So real quick, before we jump back into the amps, I just launched my Patreon. The link is down in my description. I already have 3 supporters, and I literally can't thank you guys enough who are members of the Patreon already. Mike especially for being the first guy to jump in, and he was one of the people who suggested I do it. I didn't think that I was at that point yet. So your guys' support means the absolute world to me. The fact that you guys want to support my channel and help me keep pushing on with this stuff, really appreciate it. Also down in the description, I've got links to my band's page, which my band is releasing a full length in a couple months, and we just started releasing promotional material. So I would really appreciate it if you would check out my band's Facebook page and give us a listen. And on top of that, I have a Facebook group where all of my subscribers on YouTube can go, and I basically chat with you guys about gear. We're really having a good time with it already. We've got almost 200 members in there. It's growing pretty quick, and there's some good discussions going on. So I'd appreciate it if you guys did that. On top of that, if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe to the channel. You guys have no idea how far that goes in helping the channel grow and helping YouTube push the videos into view of the right people. I can't believe how quick the channel's growing, but I'm super excited about it. But anyways, I don't want to be a talking head here. I want to play some amps. Really appreciate you guys' support so far. Seriously, it means the world. Anyways, we're going to put everything back to noon on both amps. The intro clip, of course, Deadweald Duality DX. You guys know I absolutely love this pedal. I recommend you check it out wholeheartedly because it literally has been a complete game changer to me. That was on the TS9 circuit with the gate engaged. Amps are dead silent. Awesome overdrive pedal. Okay, so we are back to everything at noon on both amps. We're going to start on the Sabot. We're on the crunch channel on the Badlander because I feel that compares a little bit more favorably to the Sabot. So here's the Sabot. Badlander. No, my guitar's not messed up. That's just how much volume sweep there is in the gain knob on the Badlander. So let's kick that up to about noon. Sabot. So initial impressions with everything at noon, the Sabot is much bigger and much rounder sounding with a little bit more saturation. The Badlander is definitely thinner and smaller sounding. I mean, this amp is not a thin amp to my ears, but you do have to dial the bass up in order to get the low end really reacting on this amp. You heard in my intro clip, there is no shortage of low end on the amp, but it really doesn't start to come in until 6 or 7 on the dial. So we're gonna dial that up and do it again. We're back on the Sabot. You can also hear the Sabot has some really nice forward mids, which I love about it. So now the Mesa is starting to come to life a little bit more, but it still needs more gain to catch up to the Armored. So we're up to 2 o'clock. Okay, back to the Sabot. So I have already kind of likened the low end on the Sabot. To a rectifier. It's got that round and kind of flubby feel to it in certain settings. And you can never completely dial that out, but you can get it much tighter, especially with the attack pot. You can dial that all the way up and it tightens it up pretty good. But the Armored is like a cool mix of Mesa and Marshall because it's got a really forward midsection that's bitey up top, but it also has kind of that big wall of sound low end going on that like a rectifier or an Uberschall has. So, and the more you dial these gain controls up, there's 2 different gain controls. Each one kind of affects the EQ a little differently. Both of them seem to add low mids and kind of fatten the amp up the more you dial them up too. So while that's cool, you also have to make sure you find a balance between the two or the amp can kind of get overly flubby. So we're going to crank the gain all the way up on the Badlander and we're going to give it a little bit more gain on the Sabot. Okay, so we'll start on the Sabot. Hear how big and round that sounds? Back to the Badlander. So yeah, you can hear the differences between the two. At noon, the Mesa is not as present, it's not as big sounding. The lows are a lot tighter and a lot punchier, but they definitely don't have as many frequencies in the low going on as the Armored. So let's start to dial the Armored in to where I would personally want to play it and what I think a good tone would be. So we're pretty close to the optimum settings that I've been running the Armored amp on. Let's hear how that sounds. Sounds pretty good, man. All right, back to the Badlander. All right, so we need some presence, we need some highs, and a little bit of mid. Seriously, guys, if someone was in the room with me right now, they would tell you that the Badlander sounds thin by nobody's standards, unless you're literally going for a fat, farty, muddy, poopy sound, which, you know, in that case, you're an idiot anyways. But yeah, I mean, the Badlander sounds really big and full. Not wall of sound lows like a rectifier, but it's not a small sounding amp. Sounds really good. But the Sabot definitely has more low end content. Back to the Sabot. All right, so the Sabot to me needs some high-end presence. We're gonna dial up the resonance and keep the bass where it is. The Badlander sounds fantastic without a boost. By the way, guys, my 91 Explorer has the Voodoo custom pickups Alchemist in the bridge. I cannot say enough good things about this pickup. Check out Voodoo custom pickups. This is the Alchemist, the Angry Tones, Greg Campbell signature. This pickup is rad. The Badlander with no boost in front, super tight. Sounds really, really good. Super tight. We're gonna dial a boost in. We're gonna turn on my trusty MXR M77 and see how that sounds with both amps boosted. We are on the Sabot. Really good, right? Badlander. Love that overdrive. Comparing the two amps, the Badlander is definitely brighter with a bigger upper mid spike. The Sabot is definitely rounder in the lows and has a lot more of a low mid emphasis than the Badlander does. Just overall, it's a very big and full sounding amp. So if that's what you're going for, man, if you like that rectifier style feel and sound, but you like it a little tighter and you want a little bit more Marshall-y style mids in it, this amp is the ticket, dude. Really, really enjoying this thing. Thank you. Thank you again, James and Dalton, for sending me this. All right, where do we go from here? Let's dial in a little bit more scoopy tone on both. Big bass, dial some scoops, scoopy scoop. We're gonna do no boost, but I'm gonna turn the bright switch on and you can immediately hear how much more high-end frequency comes through on the Sabot with the bright on. That tightens it up a lot more. We're getting some good noise through here, but that really tightens the amp up. So let's dial a little bit more gain in and a little bit more bass. Back to the Badlander. Get some good bass on that, good gain. So when you dial the mids down, that kind of takes some of the presence out. So let's get some more highs. Again, this amp is nowhere near small sounding. And this is on the crunch channel. This is the lower gain channel. Sounds phenomenal. I don't like it with the mid scooped out because it sounds kind of hollow, but let's give it like a little bit more midsection and see how that does. Again, no boosts on either of these amps. Okay, so the high switch really focuses the gain on the Sabot. Hadn't really messed with that too much up until this point, but it sounds really good. So bright switch back off. Both of these amps sound killer, and I am lucky to have both of them at my disposal currently. This thing has a, let's try the Badlander Fish and Drive V2. This thing has a really signature sound to it, very unique. That Fish and Drive sounds good. Let's hear the amp without it. With it. That drive has a really cool sound to it. It's actually doing really well on both of these amps right now. All right, so as you can see, both of these amps take boosts fantastically. They both sound really good. They both have their own thing going on. The Mesa is definitely not as low mid heavy, but the bass is real big and real punchy. It's very immediate, whereas the Armored is a little bit more round, but you can tighten it up quite a bit with that bright switch. Armored is a little bit more noisy than the Mesa, but really not by much. Like I said, I really think that this is a great amp for people who want like a rectifier type tone, but want to tighten it up and have a little bit more options in the EQ settings, and also want a more forward midsection. This amp sounds great for that. With the Badlander, this is just a chug machine, seriously, chug machine. Let's go over to the Crush channel, because I haven't really been on that one at all, and we'll see how that one sounds versus the Sabot. We've got the Bright channel back on. Honestly, I like the mid profile of the Sabot a lot better than the Mesa on the on the Crush channel. It doesn't sound very good to my ears, whereas the Crunch channel sounds amazing. It's a lot more open. This is very low mid focus and kind of like congested. But yeah, the Sabot sounded really good. All right, so the Mesa needs a lot of mids on that Crush channel to really come alive to my ears. It opens it up a good bit. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this shootout. Tell me in the comments, what did you guys think of the Mesa Badlander versus the Armored Sabot? Really curious to hear your guys' thoughts and how you thought they compared. Which one do you think would fit your style better? Which one would you prefer? Which one came through the mic better? I'm really curious to hear how you guys saw these two amps against each other. Again, please, if you like this video, consider hitting the like button, consider subscribing. I'm doing shootouts like this all the time. I'm getting sick new high gain amps in here all the time. Check down in the description for supporting links for Voodoo custom pickups for Deadweald audio, my Facebook page, my Patreon group, my Discord server. I got all sorts of stuff going right now. Anyways, I gotta go back to work. Kyle here again. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you guys next time.